What if everything you've been taught about success is actually keeping you poor? Have you ever noticed how the wealthiest people often break the very rules society tells us to follow? What would happen if you discovered that the true secret to wealth was hidden from you intentionally? In the shadow of the ancient Himalayas, Vikram trudged home in the pouring rain, his cart empty, his pockets even emptier. For 15 years, he had risen before dawn, worked until his hands bled, followed every piece of advice from his father and village elders, yet his family still went to bed hungry most nights. "The gods must hate me," he muttered, seeking shelter beneath a massive banyan tree as thunder cracked overhead. "The gods don't hate you," came a voice from the darkness. "They're waiting for you to finally open your eyes." Vikram spun around to find an old man sitting cross-legged against the trunk, completely dry despite the downpour all around them. The stranger's eyes gleamed like polished amber in the darkness. "Who are you?" Vikram demanded. The old man smiled. "Someone who was once exactly like you, hardworking, dedicated, and completely blind." Before Vikram could respond, the old man reached into his robe and released what appeared to be a tiny bird made of pure gold. It hovered between them, wings beating silently, emitting a soft glow that illuminated their shelter. "This is the Golden Sparrow," the stranger said. "Only those ready to transform can see it. If you can still see it by sunrise, follow it. If not," he shrugged, "continue your path to nowhere." When morning came, Vikram awoke with a start. The storm had passed, but there, perched on his cart handle, was the impossible bird gleaming like molten gold in the morning light. Heart racing, he followed as it took flight. The sparrow led him not to the marketplace, but to the ruins of an old temple where a wealthy merchant named Dhanraj was examining ancient inscriptions. When the bird landed on Dhanraj's shoulder, the merchant turned and smiled at Vikram as if expecting him. "So you can see it too," Dhanraj said. Not a question, but a statement. Vikram nodded, speechless. "Then you're ready." Dhanraj pointed to the temple wall. These inscriptions contain the 7 forbidden habits of wealth practices that the powerful have hidden from common people for centuries. "Forbidden?" Vikram whispered. "Why would habits be forbidden?" Dhanraj's eyes narrowed. "Because a world where everyone practices them would upset the balance of power. The wealthy stay wealthy by keeping these secrets." Over the next 7 days, Dhanraj revealed each habit, each one contradicting everything Vikram had been taught. First, Vikram learned that the truly wealthy don't work harder, they work smarter, leveraging systems and other people's time. Second, he discovered that while the poor save money, the rich strategically use debt to acquire assets that generate income. Third, Dhanraj showed him how the wealthy create multiple streams of income rather than depending on a single source. Fourth, he revealed how successful people focus on building valuable networks instead of working in isolation. Fifth, Vikram learned that the rich make decisions based on future returns, not immediate comfort. Sixth, Dhanraj demonstrated how wealth comes from solving problems for many people, not just selling time or products. Seventh, and most surprisingly, Vikram discovered that generosity strategic giving actually accelerated wealth rather than diminished it. "Now comes your test," Dhanraj said on the 8th day. "For 40 days, you must practice these habits while telling no one. The Golden Sparrow will watch. At the end of 40 days, return to the banyan tree at midnight." The 40 days tested Vikram beyond anything he had experienced. Old friends mocked his new approaches. His wife worried as he invested their meager savings differently. His father called him a fool for abandoning traditional ways. Yet slowly, things began to change. A small investment returned threefold. A connection made through Dhanraj opened new markets. A problem Vikram solved for one village became an opportunity to serve 5 more. On the 40th night, Vikram returned to the banyan tree. His life already transformed. His family no longer went hungry. His business had expanded. But most importantly, he now saw opportunities where before he had only seen obstacles. Under the tree waited not Dhanraj, but the old sage from the first night. "You've passed the first test," the sage said. "Now comes the true challenge." The sage pointed to 3 paths leading from the tree. The path to the left leads to comfort you'll have enough for your family, security, for your future. The middle path leads to wealth you'll become the richest merchant in the region. The path to the right leads to hardship and danger. The Golden Sparrow flew to Vikram's shoulder, then toward the right path. "Why would I choose hardship when I could have wealth?" Vikram asked. The sage smiled sadly. "That's what the others asked too." "Others? You're not the first to see the sparrow. Many before you learned the 7 habits, most chose comfort or wealth and disappeared into history. Only a few followed the sparrow into hardship." "And what happened to them?" Vikram asked. "Their names echo through eternity. Buddha, Kabir, Chanakya." The sage paused. "The true secret isn't just practicing the habits yourself. It's breaking the cycle of secrecy." In that moment, Vikram understood. The greatest wealth wasn't in money, but in impact. The forbidden knowledge was kept hidden, not just to control wealth, but to control legacy. The hardest path is to teach others openly what you've learned. The sage continued. "The powerful will oppose you. Those closest to you will doubt you. Most who hear you won't believe you." Dawn broke through the trees, and suddenly, Vikram could see hundreds of golden sparrows circling above souls, waiting for the knowledge he now carried. "Who are you, really?" Vikram asked the sage. The old man smiled as his form began to shimmer. "Just another who chose the 3rd path long ago." As the sage faded away, Vikram realized the golden sparrow that had guided him was now perched permanently on his shoulder, its light merging with his own. Years later, when Vikram had become renowned throughout the land, not for his wealth, though he had plenty, but for freely teaching the 7 habits to anyone who would listen, a young woman approached him during one of his public teachings. "I saw a golden bird lead me to you," she whispered. "Can you see it too?" Vikram smiled. The cycle continued. True wealth isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by what you set free. Remember, the millionaire mind isn't just about practicing habits that generate money. It's about breaking the chains that have limited human potential for generations. The truly wealthy don't just build fortunes. They build legacies by ensuring that knowledge flows freely to those ready to receive it. What forbidden habit will you begin practicing today? And more importantly, who will you teach tomorrow? What's one thing you're grateful for today? Let's spread some positivity in the comments. If you found this story inspiring, fuel the pulse of victory by liking this video and subscribing for more tales of resilience and success. Thank you.